friends all gathered round, there's something I will say, that what brings us together here has blessed us all today. Love has made a circle that holds us all inside, where as strangers are as family, and loneliness can't hide. You must give yourself to love. Love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to the tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. I've walked these mountains in the rain. I've learned to love the wind. I've been up before the sunrise to watch the day begin. Always knew I'd find you, though I never did know how. But like sunshine on a cloudy day, you stand before me now. You must give yourself to love. Love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to the tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Love is born in fire, is planted like a seed. Love can't give you everything, but it gives you what you need. Love comes when you're ready. Love comes when you're afraid. It will be your greatest teacher, the best friend you ever made. You must give yourself to love. Love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to the tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Listen, give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Oh, thank you so much, and thanks for being here with me today. That is an old folk song by Kate Wolf back in the 70s called Give Yourself to Love. Now, I do that song for weddings, funerals, any occasion, but especially for this, because this is all about loving this beautiful planet that we have. And my disclaimer right away, I'm not an expert on anything, maybe a little bit with the guitar, but again, it's about loving this beautiful planet. And, you know, I think people would listen to me a lot more if I had a PhD, but hey, I do have a PhD, passion, heart, and dedication. So I want you to imagine we're on a spaceship way out in space. We've only got so much air, so much water. Basically, that's us. We've got a limited amount of resources that are not going to be resupplied unless the aliens come down. Come on down, we need some help. But seriously, my very favorite class in college was entitled Spaceship Earth. Dr. Weldon was a very eccentric professor, and we got extra credit for watching shows like Jacques Cousteau and National Geographic. But it was a term coined by Buckminster Fuller in 1951 or 2. And if you've ever been to Disney World, the Epcot Center, that geodesic design there is by Buckminster Fuller. And he wrote a manual for Spaceship Earth to tell us how to take care of our beautiful planet. So you probably also know our Earth is covered 70% with water, but only 2% of that is drinkable, and half of that is frozen in our glaciers and our ice caps, which are melting at alarming rates, as you know. So I think we need to get back to being more conservative with water, electricity, everything, especially with our population growing exponentially. In the year 1800, we almost reached 2 billion people on the planet. And that took thousands of years to happen. And then in the last 200 years, we're almost up to 8 billion people. And it's going to keep growing exponentially. By the year 2050, almost 10 billion people. And Colorado is one of the fastest growing states in the U.S. Now, I forgot to add, though, when I was a kid, I grew up in Ohio, I was a kid, if I left a room in the house, my parents would say, hey, turn off that light. Little things, really important. I'm really glad I found this slide when I was doing my research. The green is the energy, the population, size of the population. The red is the energy use. Take a look at the USA. We just gobble up that energy. So I was born south of Cleveland, Ohio, a little town called Berea. And the Cuyahoga River, which was aptly named by the Native Americans, meaning crooked river, was so polluted in the 1960s when I was a little girl that it used to catch on fire. Some people say it caught on fire 13 times, who knows. But I remember doing art projects when I was in 4th and 5th grade on the Cuyahoga River fires. So in 1969, the 13th time it caught on fire, it caught the attention of Time magazine, which was really a great thing because that began to raise people's awareness on environmental issues. And it preceded the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. And mind you, this was under the Nixon administration, so Tricky Dick did some really good things. So you might recognize Paul Krugman. He writes a lot for the New York Times. He referred to the Cuyahoga River fires as being the beginning of environmentalism. However, when I started to do my research, environmentalism's been around ever since the beginning of civilizations. You can imagine one of the first problems was sanitation. But look at that, 2700 BC, some of the first laws to protect trees. Speaking of trees, here in Colorado, we've got the pine beetle, serious problem that's killing just about all our lodgepole pines, and it's a fire hazard. And of course, this is due to climate change. The winters don't have enough days for freezing temperatures to be able to kill the beetles. Just a little bit about the history of environmentalism. George Catlin was one of the first people to suggest making national parks. And he was the famous painter of Native Americans. He visited over 50 Indian tribes. And so the Native Americans were some of the best environmentalists of all. So my favorite saying has always been, the earth does not belong to man. Man belongs to the earth. So try to imagine we're a spider web, and when someone touches one part of the web, it affects the whole web. We are all interconnected. We're in this together. Now, another way I heard it put recently is if we take care of the land will take care of us. Here's a few authors that wrote beautifully about nature. Emerson and Henry David Thoreau. I learned recently that climate scientists are using his information that he took meticulous notes when he lived by Walden Pond, when the pond would unfreeze and when certain plants were growing and the animals would come out. So scientists are using that data. I thought that was really interesting. John Muir was instrumental in starting the first state park, Yosemite, out in California. How many people been there? Yeah. And he was the founder of Sierra Club, one of my favorite organizations. Now, in 1906, Teddy Roosevelt used the Antiquities Act to proclaim more national parks and monuments than any other president in history, including Mesa Verde, right here in Colorado. Anybody been? Yeah. So there it is. And then we've got the other 3 parks, Black Canyon, and the sand dunes were down where I went to college in Alamosa, San Luis Valley, and of course, Rocky Mountain National Park. Does anybody know how many state parks we have? Oh, you're close. 42. And I encourage people to get out there in the beauty, so perhaps it will inspire them to be better stewards of the planet. So can anybody tell me the camper's motto? Who goes backpacking and camping? Yeah. Leave no trace. Now, I think that's what we need to be doing with our homes, our neighborhoods, and communities. Leave no trace. So this is the first of 5 music videos that I wrote the music for. It's kind of a satirical song that I wrote, and it's about the... Can anybody tell me when the Industrial Revolution began? I was thinking 1900 too, but you'll see with this. And I do this along with the CD. This is the only one I do because it doesn't do it justice to do solo.
You walls, you made them so tall, so beautiful to you. Have everything cemented, Mother Nature so demented. Why didn't she think of that? Try to teach Mother Nature about economy. Try to teach her human practicality. We're so practical. Slid down the mountain, thanks to all the spouting lava. Cost so much to relocate, can't fill my Mr. Coffee with no Java. No Java. Changing Mother Nature everywhere we go. Soon we'll have to answer, and what do you know?
These are all the oil and gas wells, the red and the orange being the most. And this next slide is all the oil and gas wells in Boulder and Weld counties.
Changing Mother Nature everywhere we go. Soon we'll have to answer, what do you know?
I cut off the end there because it's kind of a dark ending. So I'm going to try to talk about simple solutions in between segments. Think about your diversion. Can anyone tell me what diversion rate is? Well, it's simply how much you divert from the landfill by recycling and composting. But more importantly, and I'm going to keep saying this, reduce and reuse. The 3 R's are in order of importance. Reduce, reuse, recycle. So these are kind of old figures. 2010, now California has always been very progressive with environmental issues. 80% is really great. And Boulder was at 35% at that time. But in 2016, they made the zero waste ordinance that requires all residential and all businesses to have zero waste set up, so recycle, compost, and trash. So our diversion rate has gotten a lot better. 51 is pretty good, and it's gotten even better. But Colorado is still one of the top 20 worst states for recycling. I've been focusing a lot on Jeffco School District because a lot of people in Jefferson County don't even have recycle. So this is really important. EcoCycle and the EPA state that 42% of our greenhouse gases come from the way products are extracted from the earth, produced, transported, and gotten rid of. Takes a lot of energy. Now, 42%, that's almost half the problem. So if we are more mindful, reduce and reuse, we can really cut down on our carbon footprint. So think about your diversion rate at home. Now, mine's gone down a lot. About 10 years ago or so, I put a compost in my yard. But mind you, you can't put the compostable plates or corn cups in the yard compost. They take too long to degrade. So they need to end up in the commercial compost. I'll talk a little bit more about that. I never buy Ziploc bags. I just wash them out and reuse them. Being conscious of other single-use plastic. Now, along with my shopping bags in the car, I keep small containers for leftovers at restaurants. Now, that can make a huge difference because a lot of places use styrofoam, which is really, really bad, styrofoam. So ask yourself, what can I do? Now, if you're financially well off, you might donate to your favorite organization. Again, I said Sierra Club's one of my favorites. If you're not so financially well off, you might donate your time, volunteer. Here's some local. Now, Pachamama is not really local. Lynn and John Twist started this in San Francisco, and they help the indigenous people down in Ecuador. But if you ever get a chance to see an Awakening the Dreamer event, it's really fabulous. Inland Ocean Coalition, Earth Guardians, right here in Boulder, they're starting up chapters all over the country and all over the world. They're doing tremendous work. And EcoCycle was one of the first curbside recycling in the country, right here in Boulder, 1976. Joan Gregerson with Green Team Academy. I can hook you up with any of these. And Barefoot Books is just an alternative children's books publishing company. I'm not going to show the trailer for this documentary, but it prefaces the next song, which is, again, a little bit dark. The first half of this movie was so disturbing, I thought we might as well just give up. But then the second half was all about solution, and that's what I'm trying to do here today. So I wrote this song, Dying of Human Souls, back in college when I had that class. And actually, this won the 2015, the EPA Denver office had a video contest for Earth Day, and my video won, and then Annie Gifford won the art part of it. I went out to the fields to deplore the dying of human souls. What did I feel? I felt like drowned in the earth in my tears. Nobody feels. They just live all alone in their suits of steel. So went to the city to deplore the birth of the crazy man. What did he feel? He felt like nothing around him was real. He just ran from himself, screaming that he wasn't a man anymore. So went to a friend, told him about what was in my head. This is what he said. He said, hey, you're not alone. Yeah, I know. It just feels like it sometimes I get so low. out to the fields to deplore the dying of human souls. What did I feel? I felt like drowning the earth in my tears. Nobody feels. They just live all alone in their suits of steel. Went out to the fields to deplore the dying of human souls. Went out to the fields to deplore the dying of human souls. Dying, dying, dying of human souls. Thank you. Thank you so much. Ask yourself, what can I do? Localization is really, really key. The more you can shop locally, grow your food locally, even banking locally is better for the local economy. Now, we've got a lot of great farmers markets around here in Colorado in the summer, and then community-supported agriculture is a great thing that cropped up several years ago. You can donate your time or your money to a farm, and then every week you pick up great, organic, delicious produce. Is anybody familiar with Barbara Kingsolver? She wrote a book called Animal, Mineral, Vegetable. Her family bought a little farm in Pennsylvania and vowed for an entire year that they would only eat the food they grew or bought locally. So they had to do a lot of canning. Now, Marilyn Gleason was one of my first friends I met when I moved here from Ohio to Boulder, Colorado in '74. I call her the Barbara Kingsolver of Garfield County. She's got chickens and geese. Of course, her garden. Her boyfriend is a beekeeper. They've got beehives, peaches, and here she is drying some apricots. Several years ago, we picked local peaches and did some canning. That was really fun. And I go up and visit them every summer, and I'm fed local, delicious, and may I say delicious food. She's a great cook, Marilyn. So, you know, you don't even need to believe in climate change to think about how we are a disposable society and the population growing exponentially. We cannot sustain life on the planet the way we were living. If you look in that trash can, there's some items there that you might have used for 10 minutes or 20, and then you throw them away. We're such a disposable society. Again, the energy it takes to produce, transport, and even to get rid of. Where is it coming from? Where is it going? I challenge you, every time you buy something, every time you throw something away, think about where is it coming from and where is it going. So can anybody tell me what this is called? It's a blank station. Yes, zero waste station. Now, I urge everyone to take a few extra seconds when you're putting things in these bins. One of the biggest problems with recycle is contamination, and that's simply where people put the wrong items in the wrong bin. If it gets too contaminated, then it's going to end up in the landfill and defeats the whole purpose. So, and one of the most common mistakes people make when recycling at home is putting all their cans and paper and glass in a plastic bag and throwing the whole plastic bag in the recycle bin. They do not want any plastic bags at the recycle places because it gets caught in the machinery and they have to shut it down, costing time and money. So, take your recycle things and dump them, and you can recycle the bag at, Safeway, King Soopers, that kind of thing. Now, compost, a lot of people think, hey, well, it's biodegradable, so it's okay to end up in landfill. Now, the whole purpose of composting is to keep things out of the landfill because the process there, they dig down into the earth, they dump the trash, cover it with plastic, and the sun heats it up, and methane gas escapes. Methane gas is up to 80 times more potent than carbon dioxide. So the whole purpose of compost, just please remember it, if you've got corn cups or the paper plates, they need to end up in a commercial composting. And again, EPA and EcoCycle says that striving for zero waste is one of the easiest and quickest ways that we can fight climate change. Now, I am going to show the trailer for this documentary on bottled water.
As Mark Twain once said, you know, whiskey is for sipping and water is for fighting. And there's going to be a lot of fighting about this before it's done.
Unite and tell them they can't take our water. We want our water back.
Make sure next we can hear you all the way back there in Switzerland. Are you fired up?
We were mapped out without our knowledge and consent.
They never notified anybody in town. They just started pumping water.
They never stopped pumping the water.
118 million gallons of water.
Over 400,000 gallons a day. And this was at the height of the drought.
This is a real collision of moral values against the narrow profit concerns of corporations.
We should be standing in about 5 feet of water right now where we're standing.
They really see water as blue gold. So if it disappears 10 years down the road, they've made their profit.
They're making the profit and we're suffering.
These companies are taking our water and selling it back to us. And we think that we're getting something great in return.
And the problem is they're unaware that bottled water is not necessarily safe. You end up being exposed to other chemical compounds.
The product is safe.
Bottled water is a safe, healthy, convenient product.
A product is safe, the package is safe. I don't see any long-term effect presented by our package.
If you were to look at all the data I brought and you read everything, you'd be horrified. Horrified.
Something causes a lot of these neighbors around here to be sick. It's not just me.
You asked for studies from independent sources.
We don't normally ask for independence.
Then you don't protect the American people.
My concern is that the FDA doesn't want us to ask about BPA because of the current investigation. Can you talk about it now?
No. If I had known you were going to talk about that, probably wouldn't have given you the interview.
There's going to be hell to pay over this.
It's responsible to us, not to this corporation.
We've got to start to do what we're supposed to do, not what the industry always asks us to do. Think everything's okay?
So just a few stories I like to interject here. In 2015, I did a big road trip in the Northwest, and I ended up in Mount Shasta, California, and they were in the middle of a drought, and this plastic bottle company was draining their water out of the ground and then, taking it elsewhere to make a profit. That same year, I think it was, I traveled up to Wyoming, and I went to Grand Teton National Park. And when I went through the ranger station to enter the park, they give you a big newspaper, and on the front page there was a big paragraph boasting that they have some of the best water coming out of the ground right there and encouraging people to reuse their water bottles. But you could not imagine, the tourists, they had flats and flats of bottled water. And then I ended up in South Dakota for a family reunion. And one day, my 16-year-old cousin, obviously she was very thirsty, she drank 3 plastic bottles in a row and threw them away in the trash. I'll tell you, I went away and I cried for about 20 minutes or so because I could not convince my cousins to be a little greener. Just a little bit about plastic bottled water. 40% is just from the tap, and it's not tested as well as our tap water. So 34 billion bottles we use every year. Sometimes we pay more for water than gasoline, but the really disturbing part is fewer than 20% are recycled. Now, what is the main ingredient in plastic? Yeah, petroleum. So that's a lot of fuel we could be saving and using for other things. So I am a member of BPW Business and Professional Women, and I'm actually the chair of the environment for them. And every year we do a celebration of women. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year. And in 2018, Molly McPherson is this awesome student down in Fort Lewis College. That was our rival from Adams State. And we gave her an award. Her project was called Saving the World One Bottle at a Time. And she got the highest award from the Girl Scouts for this project, the Gold Star Award. She's just awesome. Look at her there. So LK came up with these great drinking fountains where you can refill your water bottle, and then up in the corner it tells you how many plastic bottles you saved. Really a great idea. I'm seeing them all over the place. So bad water is actually one of the biggest problems in the world, of course not in the USA, the orange and the yellow being the most. And we did our BPW International Conference in 2017 in Cairo, Egypt. I never drank more bottled water in my life, but we had to because the tap water was not, very healthy. And one of our BPW chapters, I thought it was in Vietnam, but it was somewhere. Her project was to make refilling stations throughout towns with filtered water so the tourists can refill their water bottles. I thought that was a great idea. So, yeah, it's the leading cause of death in the world, bad water. And so, this is the most exciting thing. When we had our conference over there, my grandfather was in the Navy when Teddy Roosevelt sent the Great White Fleet around the world between 1906 and 1908. My grandfather is the second from the left there in front of the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid. And I never got to meet him. He died right before I was born in 1960. But I wanted to recreate the picture. I could not get in front of the Sphinx because they have it fenced off now. But I did the best I could. There I am with my colleagues. I'm the second from the left. That was so exciting. So I won't spend a lot of time on fracking. It's still very controversial. But when I started doing my research, I was astounded. To frack one well, it takes up to 8 million gallons of water, and it's got to be trucked in tap water. It can't be from a nearby river or a stream because the bioorganisms mix with the chemicals or something. So think about all those extra truckloads that are putting out CO2 to bring that water in. Of course, people are concerned about the chemicals, and again, the release of methane. Methane is up to 80 times more potent than carbon dioxide. So our Colorado River here is an endangered species, basically, due to population change and climate change. The water doesn't even reach the Sea of Cortez down by Baja California anymore. It's used up way before then. And I met the Earth Guardians for the first time in 2010 at a Denver EPA coal ash hearing. And I met a real live Silkwood. Remember Silkwood movie where Meryl Streep was the whistleblower for the nuclear plant? This Native American woman from the Four Corners area told me stories. She was getting death threats and scared off the road in her car because she was trying to get these companies to stop dumping the coal ash. I can't believe this stuff still happens. Environmentalists get killed, all the time in other countries. Watershed is a great documentary if you want to learn more. It's narrated by Robert Redford. And you can also go to savethecolorado.org. Other ways you can help getting rid of hazardous waste. Instead of grass, consider xeriscape with native plants that use a lot less water. Conserving water at restaurants. I got a free efficient toilet from the city of Boulder a few years ago. I think it cost me $25 to pick it up. Turning off the water while you're shaving, brushing your teeth. Now, shorter showers. I'm really helping out. I've just completely stopped taking showers. Oh, you believe me? Come on. All right, this song is much more positive. I wrote this in 1995 for the 25th anniversary of Earth Day. And the beautiful photography is by my dear friend Carl Snyder.
Well, it occurred to me this morning as I prayed for love. It's hard to believe in anything. Today the world just moves so fast, we've got no time to sing. Computer addiction, too much work and too much greed. No time to even think. Mobile phones distracting from our feelings, our presence on the brink. What do we believe in? Is there something more precious than gold? What do we believe in? Is there something in our hearts that we hold? Uncaring corporations flaunting power and might. What's in their way they just erase? Raping rainforests, destroying life we can never replace. If we could see with our eyes, I'm sure we'd feel with our hearts. Is a stranglehold on the earth. All we need to do is believe and figure out what it's worth. What do we believe in? Have the money gods taken our souls? I don't know about a lot of things, but some things I just know. I believe in something greater. I believe in love. I believe in all of nature and something beyond and above. I believe in majestic mountains and deserts and extraordinary things. I believe that everybody, sometimes I even hear the angels sing. There's no words to describe the aching in my soul. I don't comprehend uncaring posture. The feeling is just so cold. Wide lack of gratitude for the vast and beautiful sky. Without the breath of precious air, we wouldn't even be alive. I awake and hear the beauty of a white lacy frost, and my spirit begins to lift. Depression's hard to fight, but when it's absent, life is such a gift. I see the sun shimmer with the new-grown leaves. What would life be like without trees? Embrace the earth and care about each other, I'm begging you please. What do we believe in? We believe that we're just victims to fate. Decide what you believe in. Strong faith has a lot of weight. I believe in something greater. I believe in love. I believe in all of nature and something beyond and above. I believe in majestic mountains and deserts and extraordinary things. I believe in everybody, sometimes I even hear the angels sing. I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe in love.
Thank you so very much. So my dear friend Carl passed away unexpectedly a few years ago, and I miss him more than a lot of people that have passed, and I think it was our connection to nature. I've only known him since 2007 or 8, but he took me up on Mount Evans a couple times, and that's where those beautiful white mountain goats are that he took pictures of. He took care of a website for Rocky Mountain National Park and several businesses up in Estes Park. So thank you so much, Carl. And that's Carl with a K if you want to Google him and see more of his beautiful photography. So, has anybody heard of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch? So a gyre is a natural occurrence in every ocean. It's just where the current slows down in the middle of the ocean. So all that plastic that's blowing off our shorelines is ending up in these gyres. The North Pacific one being the biggest. This is kind of what it looks like out there. And 10 years or so ago, they were saying it was twice the size of Texas. Who knows? It could be larger than the USA now. And if you've ever been a fisherman, you know that fish bite at colors or anything, so it kills over 100,000 sea mammals every year and over 1 million seabirds. There's an albatross that's decayed, and you can see the plastic in her stomach. It just breaks my heart every time I see that. Now, here's another. This is one of the best environmental documentaries I've ever seen. Susan Barraza is a brilliant filmmaker in beautiful Telluride, Colorado. And the guy who narrates it, he's got a funny sense of humor, so he keeps things light, but it's great info.
This story begins with a single plastic bag. One bag that I got from my local grocery store to carry home a single container of peach yogurt. Once I got home, I shoved the bag in with all the other bags, next to another bag full of other bags, and I never really thought about it. Maybe I tried not to think about it. I mean, I'm an average guy. I'm not what you consider a tree hugger. I try to be informed, I try to do the right thing, but I find that it can all be a bit overwhelming at times. I live in a small town in Colorado, and it wasn't until my town challenged another town a few hours away to see who could reduce their use of plastic bags the most that I first started to think about plastic bags and what we do with them. I mean, we all have a lot of bags, right? Everybody does the same thing. We collect them, we shove them anywhere they'll go, like under the sink, into closets, junk drawers. We throw a pile away every now and then just to be done with them, because they're disposable, right? They were created to be thrown away. But let's face it, there's a dirty little secret here, even if we won't admit it. Just because plastic is disposable doesn't mean it just goes away. After all, where is away? There is no away. It actually sticks around for a really long time. That got me thinking about all the endless products made out of plastic. A lot of them designed to be used for less than 1 day. Heck, less than 15 minutes even. Once I began looking around, pretty much everything seemed to be made of plastic. Could all this plastic in my life maybe even be bad for me? So I started looking into it. The way it doesn't go away, the way it pollutes, the way it flies and floats and drifts and clogs and entangles, the way it gets into things so big and so small, the way we can't escape it anymore, the way, eventually, we may not have any recourse. We'll all just simply have to stand up and say, bag it. Ice cream doesn't come in plastic.
Okay, so along with not taking showers anymore, I'm really helping out. All I eat now is ice cream. No, but hey, did you hear in the beginning he talked about their town challenging another town for a competition? Americans love competition. And a couple years ago, when I heard that CU Buffs were the first college or university in the country to go zero waste, I was so excited. And I called up Sarah Dawn there at the E Center at CU, and I said, God, we got to get all the colleges and the NFL to do this. And she said, it's already happening. And she sent me these 2 websites. And, this will really educate a lot of people. I'm so excited about it. Just a little bit about plastic bags. We use 60,000 per second. That's 3 million bags per minute. 100 billion plastics a year. Very few are recycled, and a lot ends up in the oceans. And the amount of petroleum to make all these plastic items, we could be using over $500 billion we could be using towards clean energy. This is pretty astounding if you think about how lightweight plastic is. 800 pounds of plastic packaging per person per year. So ask yourself, what can I do? Reduce your single-use plastics as much as possible. Again, you know, how many people use their reusable shopping bags? And I'm going to mention again, if I'm going out for Chinese, I know I'm going to have leftovers, so I take Tupperware with me. Again, the styrofoam to-go containers are really, really bad for the planet. Buying in bulk and taking your own plates and cups. I go to a lot of potlucks and events around Boulder where people bring their own plates and cups. And I never go anywhere without my reusable water bottle. Now, who knows the 3 R's? Yeah, reduce, reuse, recycle. But there's 2 new ones. Refuse, reduce, reuse, repair. Now, Americans are so used to something break, they run out and buy a new one. You know what happened to the old days? There's so many things we can repair. And then last of all, recycle. Okay, so how many people have been to our beautiful neighbor out west, Utah? Yeah, I've been going there since 1986, and it's been a place of spiritual healing for me. And it's truly the favorite spot on the planet. And so I had to write a song called Utah Dream, which turned out to be the title cut of my first album of 3. I'm not a professional photographer, but these are just pictures I've taken over the years. Hope you enjoy it. Utah dream keeps running over through my mind. Utah dream, just get me there, I'll be fine. More I see, desert visions, I can be serene. Nowhere nothing like a Utah dream. And I don't know if I ain't ever gone there, if I hadn't read Desert Solitaire. The stories that it told brought burning tears. When you're there, it's like something from a movie scene. Nowhere nothing like a Utah dream. Firelight dancing on the canyon walls. Desert storm kinda makes you feel small. Colors there that you've never even seen before. So much Utah dust, you can never be poor. And if you haven't seen every single star, you don't have to go too far. Colorado around the bend, heaven's light descends. Solitude feels like the world's at peace again. I never want this Utah dream to end. Do-do-do, do-do-do-do, do-do-do. Do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do-do. Do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do-do. When will I be seeing you again? I never knew I'd miss you like a friend. Solitude How could anybody disagree? Nowhere nothing like Utah dream. Nowhere nothing like Utah dream. Oh, thank you so much. So this is Needles District. It kind of looks like needles. That's how it gets its name. But it's one of 3 areas of Canyonlands National Park. Island in the Sky is just above Moab and the Maze to the west. And then Needles District is down south of Moab. You could see the Monte La Salle Mountains there. You might have recognized Bryce, Zion, Capitol Reef. One place I haven't explored is Grand Staircase, Escalante, and some friends of mine were hoping to do that this fall. Okay, so this is my favorite part of the presentation. This is my biggest pet peeve. I took a trip back east in 2011, and I wish I would have taken a better picture. You could not imagine the number of trash bags in front of the Starbucks. And I went in and I said to the manager, how often do you get your trash picked up? He said, oh, every evening it's like this. So he estimated that he uses about 2,000 non-recyclable. They've got a plastic coating for the hot liquid. So they go to the landfill, and 2,000 paper cups a day. So when I got home, I called the corporate office, and I said 3 times, are you sure 171 Starbucks just in Manhattan area? And this was years ago, and now there's over 200. But anyway, so I'm being conservative. 171 multiplied by, say, 1,500 cups a day, 250,000 cups in a 23 square mile area every day. Wrap your mind around that for a second. And that's around the world, that's billions of cups every day going to the landfill. And think about the trees. So Starbucks does have a reusable cup for a couple of bucks, and then you get 10 cents off every time you reuse it. Again, styrofoam takes hundreds of years to decompose, and it's got so many chemicals in it that are just poisonous to us. And I just thought of another movie, after we watched the trailer for Tapped, Dark Waters with Mark Ruffalo, about the Teflon and the plastic and DuPont. And it's a really good movie. I hope you look that up. So 350 million parts per... I'm not a scientist, so I can't explain it, but 350 parts per million is the safe limit that we can have of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere and sustain life on the planet, and we're way over 400 now. So Bill McKibben started 350.org. Driving less, doing your errands in the same part of town. Drive-throughs, I think, should be for seniors and people with disabilities. I can't tell you how many times I see 20, 25 cars sitting there idling, waiting to go through these drive-thrus. And your car puts out a lot more CO2 when you're idling. So try to avoid that. Conserving water and electricity, vampire energy. You can plug all your stereo equipment in a power strip and leave the power strip off. That saves a lot of phantom energy, they call it. It sucks energy even though things are plugged in. So also unplugging your microwave and other appliances. Eating less meat can really help a lot, and buying locally again. So Bill McKibben says we're under attack from climate change, and our only hope is to mobilize like we did in World War II. Now, Al Gore, he's out there doing a lot of great things. Now, in 2017, I was so excited to be chosen to, me and my friend did the training in Denver, Colorado with Al Gore for 3 days. It was all free. He paid for everything, even the vegetarian meals. And then at the end of the program, after 3 days, we got access to his slides and information on the website. We got these pins, the green one, showing our precious atmosphere around the planet, and a workbook, and it was all, he paid for everything. It was outstanding. So I hope you've seen his original movie, Inconvenient Truth, and then a couple years he made the sequel. So this is the last song, and I was in my favorite spot on the planet, Utah, Needles District, and I was on a hike alone, and for some reason, right when I started the hike, this little voice in my head kept saying, what can I do? What can I do? What can little old me do? And I ended up writing the whole lyrics. I got to sing this song in the 2008 Democratic Convention in Denver. Anyway, the nature shots are by John Fielder. He only gave me 13 photos, so I had to add some people shots, just so you know that. So here you go. What can I do? What can I do to help this planet? To help out you? I don't care about your color. I don't care if you're white. All of the rainbow makes up all the light. What can I do? What can I do to help this planet? To help out you? I don't care if you're Christian. I don't care if you're Jew. As long as you're peaceful in what you pursue. Don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you're straight. All family values, I don't include hate. I don't care if you're rich. I don't care if you're poor. If you have love, you'll have so much more. What can I do? What can I do to help this planet? To help out you? This world's run by money. This world's run by greed. However, it's love that everyone needs. Just love your neighbor as much as yourself. You have so much more. You have so much wealth. What can we do? What can we do to end this madness? It's all up to you. Oh, thank you so much for being with me today. I just want to wind up. Well, hey, what if this is all just a big hoax, climate change, and we create a better world for nothing? Whoa. So it all starts with awareness and education. There's lots of great documentaries out there. EcoCycle is people respect their model all over the world. They have an eco-leader program. It used to be called the block leader, where you simply go to, say, 10 neighbors on your block, and you give them the Eco News Times with suggestions, and you talk to your neighbors, and you get to know your neighbors better, too. I can hook you up with people to start an eco group with the Earth Guardians or Joan Gregerson. And again, every time you buy something, every time you throw something away, think about where is it coming from and where is it going? And above all, I hope you'll take action, reduce and reuse. And I hope you'll like my Facebook page, What Can I Do, Spaceship Earth. And I always like to thank my sponsors, Boulder County Arts Alliance especially. I've been with them many years now. And so treat your home or your condo or your apartment complex like a spaceship. You only got so much this and so much that. Thank you so much.